Explain how this has to do with the Cleveland Indians.
Cleveland Indians have been forced to change your name by Major League Baseball because they decided to cave to political correctness.
Cleveland strippers here.
Well, Caveland Concealers in the
I don't
area.
think anybody's going to go see this team if they're called the Caveland Concealers.
You probably won't, but...
Are you not a baseball fan?
Oh, I love the game of baseball.
Well, then why do you not want anybody to go
because
see
I think
your team?
I think it's bullshit that they're changing the name.
I just don't think this is going to get it done.
The other team name suggestion is...
All right, have a good one, okay?
MAGA still can't let this one go.
I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
And they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me.
On the subject, this is who they follow.
And yes, by the way, they are trying to take away our history and our heritage. You see that.
And he knows how to pander.
It was about the Redskins. And he tweeted then, when he was just Donald Trump, presidents should not be telling the Washington Redskins to change their name. Our country has far bigger problems, exclamation point. Focus on them, not nonsense.
Even if history shows his hypocrisy.
You have a team called the Cleveland Indians. Indians. They're Indians. Indians. And they took the name Cleveland Indians and made it the Cleveland Guardians. It's almost like they're in charge of a trust fund. They're in charge of a trust fund. The Cleveland Guardians. And my attitude is anybody that changes the name of the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Guardians should not be a senator, should not be a governor. Who wants, okay, we'll have a poll. Who wants to keep the Cleveland Indians storied? Wait. So much for that, Paul. Okay, ready? Who wants to see the name changed to the way they did it to the Guardians? Who wants the Guardians?
Trump, using old material, regurgitates a name change that occurred not 1, not 2, but 3 years ago. Meanwhile,
if the Indians want to change a little features and facial features, yes. But I do agree that Chief Wahoo should stay.
The organization is moving away from its longtime Native American moniker, which critics called offensive. Robbie, do you think being the Cleveland Indians is offensive and needed to be changed? What's your take on this?
No, and I also don't know anyone who actually thinks that was offensive, let alone any members of the Native American community.
Huge L from Robbie here, but you know, his track record is kind of full of them. Meanwhile, for Trump,
is cancel culture, driving people from their jobs, shaming dissenters, and demanding total submission from anyone who disagrees. This is the very definition of totalitarianism.
He hates cancel culture, but
what I think you ought to do is boycott Apple. When Carrier and Ford and Nabisco leaving Chicago with their big plant, they're moving to Mexico. I'm not eating Oreos anymore, you know that. Get rid of this commercial. I will not have anything to do with Geico as long as that commercial. We ought to boycott Geico. So many people are boycotting Macy's. I love it. You read about Starbucks? No more Merry Christmas on Starbucks. No more. I wouldn't buy. Hey, look, I'm speaking against myself. I have one of the most successful Starbucks in Trump Tower. Maybe we should boycott Starbucks.
He remains the king of it.
It's not lost on us that he's arguably one of the founders of cancel culture. President Trump is calling for a boycott of Goodyear after an employee complained the company wouldn't allow him to wear a MAGA hat to work. This is the image that started the firestorm. Still, the president today tweeting to his supporters not to buy Goodyear tires and arguing this is his chance to fight back against the cancel culture of the left.
On the front of the Cleveland Guardians, he went after Republican State Senator Matt Dolan, in turn endorsing Bernie Moreno. Trump trashed Moreno primary opponent Dolan, a former prosecutor and assistant state attorney general, as well as part owner of the Guardians as a rhino, who was, quote, trying to become the next Romney. From Mediaite, Trump zeroed in on the team's name change from Indians to Guardians as proof the Republican is easily pushed around by the woke left lunatics. Meg Kennard of the Associated Press would write, Moreno faces Secretary of State Frank LaRose and Dolan in Tuesday's primary. LaRose and Moreno have aligned themselves with the Trump faction of the party, while Dolan is backed by more establishment Republicans, like Mike DeWine and former Senator Rob Portman. Before we get into it, if there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open, and please, if you can, support the network, support this channel, become a member here, and or go to tyt.com/join. Greatly appreciated. Doesn't this just feel like he's playing the hits? Doesn't it feel like the old washed up DJ who you hadn't heard in 20 years, rehashing things that you don't really care about anymore? Who is really talking about the Cleveland Guardians' name change? We are so far past this. I'll tell you who, that guy. That guy. Because it plays into the mantra of they're trying to take away your heritage. They're trying to take away who you are. So racism. The underlying fact, when he is saying these things, going to a Braves game intentionally, doing the chop, saying that they're trying to take away your heritage when it revolves around the Confederacy. It's racism. That's what it is. He's going to continue playing this tune, but it still feels like lock her up, build the wall, send her back. You know, playing Clarence Creedwater, when really it is a staunch anti-war song. Staunch. And it is about how rich kids like Donald Trump avoid being drafted and any circumstances involving the war. It just feels tiresome. I understand that this is a person who is running for a body of office and is trying to get elected. I also understand why other Republicans will take the money and the endorsement and do everything they can to stay in Donald Trump's good graces. You know, take money from the super PAC, do whatever they say at all times, at each turn, in order to become a literal stooge for Donald Trump. I get it. I get it. And I could also see how it can be very enticing. But my question is, why is going from being racist to anti-racist considered like woke loony left? It should just simply be a core value for any person who understands a millisecond of this country's history. And yet, and I'm not necessarily rooting for any of these guys, but it's just so interesting to me that because a Republican did the right thing on one instance, suddenly it is non-stop, vicious assaults thrown and levied against them because they chose a moral issue, which also, by the way, it's a half moral issue. It is also, much like Dan Snyder when he was running Washington, a financial issue. So it's a half truth. But nonetheless, share your thoughts down below. I'll see you there.